We'll start here by placing the images side by side so we can do a comparison continually. So next I'm going to make a selection of the skin using color range. It has a nifty feature called Skintones, which helps a lot. Just choose the fuzziness, swap the background color to white there. Invert the mask, Command I. Now I'm just going to quickly paint in a junk mask just to get rid of those edges. My tablet seems to stick for some reason and create straight lines like you saw there. The point of this mask is not to be perfect, it's literally just to block out the area that I want to work in. Make a selection of that by command clicking on the mask. Turn that selection into a black and white gradient map for a mask reference. Disable that previous mask by shift clicking on it. And now I can clearly see which areas still need to be fixed up there in the selection. Quickly just fix up the junk mask there. Inverting the mask for any areas that I want to leave intact. Now I can just restore that background layer's mask again, filling it with white. Selecting that gradient map, I can now start dialing in skin tones, shadows, highlights, and of course midtones. You can actually dial in as many as you want. It will look overdone at the moment, that's why I set it to color mode and then reduce the layer's opacity. This will create a very flat neutral skin as well, which is not necessarily desirable. So next I'll start tweaking certain areas like the face, for which I'll create a new hue and saturation layer. Just feather it off a bit, set the size right. Just adjusting the face here, adding a bit of color into it. I actually set it to 0 in terms of hue, but later on I fix it up, add a little bit more magenta to that. Then I was selecting these adjustment layers, I create a group, Command G. Random arbitrary mouse movements of indecision. We'll get there, don't worry. Selection first. Create a new solid color layer. Choosing the skin tone to match the stomach to the rest of the body. And then reducing the opacity of that. Double clicking that layer will bring up blending modes. I'm just reducing the impact on shadows for underlying layers. Command click on the previous selection that I made from the other mask, and then invert it over this layer and just fill that with black to get rid of anything that I don't want outside of the body. Feather it off a bit. And set the blending mode of that layer. And then adjust the color of it. And now I'm just hovering around, probably reading a message on my other screen. And is back. Keeping all the adjustment layers together. Rearranging my stack order. I create a few layers for the face. Hue and saturation to just boost the color in the face a bit. First, just making the adjustments before I start any selections, so I can see what I'm going to get compared to the previous skin. Another hue saturation. This one's quite dramatic because I'm going to paint in areas of the face that need a bit of boosting, like the lips and the cheeks and makeup around the eyes. Invert the mask, Command I, and then paint with white any areas that you want to show through. It's a good idea to get an overview look of your images as well, smaller image, so that you can see the entire image at once. Make sure your adjustments aren't too harsh. Just tweaking that face layer. Grabbing the previous selection there, Command click on the mask, making a new curves layer. And pop that into a group so that I can add another mask. Invert the mask. I'm just going to lighten up the chest a bit because it seems to have gotten a bit darker than the original. Using the selection tool there, I'm going to boost the highlight, pull down the shadows. Subtle difference, but counts in the end. Bring up the Save for Web window, which is Command-Alt-Shift-S. Dial in 2048 pixels for the web. The most notable difference being in the hands, of course. The left-hand picture having very magenta, pinky hands, and the right being more neutral, more skin tone. And that's that. There's obviously many ways of skinning this cat, but there's a couple of them.